Welcome to Do It for the Gram and Enneagram podcast with your host, Milton Stewart, where we do it for the Enneagram, not Instagram. We make moves to improve our lives and those in our community. I have an amazing guest on today, and I'm really excited to interview her because something amazing just dropped for the world to read, and I'm super excited about it. So let me introduce our guest first, and then we'll jump into this new amazing book that has just been released around Enneagram. All right, so today we have Reverend Nhien Vuong, who's a JD MDiv, is internationally accredited Enneagram professional, a certified Enneagram teacher, and the founder of Evolving Enneagram. She has been studying the Enneagram since 2002, teaching it since 2007, and training other Enneagram professionals since 2017. She holds a Juris Doctor. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I'll probably edit that part out. Hey, Seth, edit that part right there. I just want to make sure. I was like, I don't read that very much. All right. She holds a Juris Doctor at Stanford Law School, a Master of Divinity from Unity Institute and Seminary, and a Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy from the University of California, Irvine. An ordained interspiritual unity minister, Nhien marries intellectual rigor with a heart for a more collaborative, compassionate world. Born in wartime Vietnam and raised in the United States, she comes from a family of refugees who built their lives from the ground up. Nhien regularly offers scholarships for Evolving Enneagram's many transformational programs and donates her time to various nonprofits and the incarcerated. Her extensive experience in pastoral care, community building, and conflict resolution helped to foster a world where everyone belongs. What's up, Nia? You good? Oh,
so yeah, thank you. It struck me as you were reading it. It's like, do I sound like a three? Like, would they just know by by reading that? Oh, so, so yeah, go
I
ahead.
think I think our bios should sound like threes to a degree. I mean, be proud of the things that we've all accomplished. Like for real, every single person. I mean, no matter who you are. So yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
awesome.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
All right, so let's jump into this. There's this amazing book that was just released. Just released. This amazing Enneagram book that just came out called The Enneagram of the Soul,
Mm.
a 40-day spiritual companion for the nine types. So tell me, like, let's just start with this. What inspired you to write this specific Enneagram book?
Mm. Oh, great question. Well, I think I always knew since I was like a little girl, I knew that I would write a book.
Mm,
And it's funny because it wasn't like there was one day where I was like, this is the book that I'm going to write. It was like a series of synchronicities put together that kind of came full circle in that it feels like this book is a book that's meant to companion you, right? Like I wanted something that felt like friendship, that didn't feel like, here's your spiritual teacher from on high, like it felt like friendship. And then as a little girl, books were my friends. So like they were my only
mm,
friends actually when I was a little girl. And so coming full circle in that way, but also books really saved my life. Like they inspired me. They gave me a sense that I wasn't alone in the world with some of the teachings and beliefs that I had that felt very radical for those around me. And
yeah.
so this piece of like the interspirituality of the book, that like spaciousness around spirituality as being about mystery and curiosity and not being about dogma or like what someone else is like telling you it is, but yet still having a path, right? Because I think
Right.
sometimes there's also this spirituality that's like anything, and this is not
Right.
anything, but it is like there's space um, for you to grapple with questions of ultimate meaning, right? Like, what is
Hmm.
my relationship to myself, my relationship with you, and my
Yeah.
relationship with the divine by whatever
Hmm.
name. So, like, all those pieces, I think, came together. The logistical piece was that in a few years ago, I started thinking, okay, I'm going to set Fridays aside. I don't know if anyone listening has ever tried to write a book. I'm going to set Fridays aside, and boy, my house got clean. Like, instead of writing, like one of those, I can't write. And I was clear, I was trying. I was
Right.
trying too hard. And then one day, someone asked me, a company that I worked for, taught some Enneagram for, was like, "Oh, can you give us some affirmations for our conference?" And I was like, "Sure, easy. I'll write
Right.
affirmations." And I remember writing them. And the funny thing is, this woman, I mean, she was behind schedule, and they had me teach the Enneagram, but they couldn't make like affirmation pens or pencils like what they wanted to with it.
Hmm.
But when I wrote it, I showed it to my faculty at Evolving Enneagram, and they're like, "These are good, Nhien." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, and there were these like affirmative invitations. And then from that moment, I wrote for 90 days straight. It was like this flow of, I just wrote
Wow.
90 days of invitations, posted them on Instagram. People are like, "What is this? This should be a book." And I'm like, "Duh, this is my book." So like, I was trying to write a book, and the book that I just naturally wrote when I thought about what do people need to hear across all the 9 types, and very
Right.
specifically for inspiration, but also for transformation, not because you're this number, then you like red for Christmas. I mean,
Right. Right. Right.
like, but more of like, oh, what can kind of nudge you out of the trance of type, right? Like what
Mhm.
can invite you, but from a compassionate perspective. So
Yeah.
it was just like that flowed. And then I got invited by this publisher who actually published, I actually have it here, the Enneagram Guide to Waking Up by Beatrice Chestnut. And so this publisher found me and invited me, like,
Wow.
would you like to write a book? And I think that they even gave me the title. It was crazy. He found a title of a workshop that I was doing for the Centering Prayer Summit. He's like, "I think this would be a good title, The Enneagram of the Soul." I was like, I was looking for a title for my book. And I was like, duh.
Like, here you go.
It was so
Hmm.
interesting. Yeah, I'm going to give one more piece. I
Ah.
know that was a lot already,
No,
but
go ahead.
the other thing is that, okay, again, here's this like kind of nerdy kid, and I loved reading, and reading inspired me. When I became a Unity minister, or when I was starting on the path, there's something called the Daily Word. And the Daily Word is Unity's most like famous publication,
Right.
and it's a daily devotional
Hmm.
from a Unity perspective, using affirmative prayer and all that. And so, of course, I enjoyed reading it. When I went to seminary, Unity Institute Seminary, the first month I was there, they were accepting applications for the writing team.
Hmm.
So I submitted one because I was like, this has inspired me. I ended up writing for the Daily Word for 6 years.
Wow.
But I never like put it together, right? So the funny thing is about how our journey goes, we take that next step. And then looking back, I'm like, I essentially have written the Daily Word for everybody, not just Unity, but Enneagram informed daily words. And
Hmm.
6 years of experience, like deeply informed, like how I wrote these. And you just never know how things come together. Yeah.
Yes. I love synchronicities like what you're talking about, where it's the things you've done in your past, you've experienced, they come to fruition. It's like, oh yeah, all those things you were doing before, yet now it's time for them to come together in a beautiful
Yes.
package for the
Yes.
world. Ooh.
Ooh,
Mm.
I just shivered.
Mm. Mm. I love it.
So, yeah.
So I have a question. Why is this book in this? Because I always think that like time, like where we are in time, are like it matters. Like when we're born, where we're born, how we're born, all these things, it has a meaning, has a purpose. So
Mm.
why is the Enneagram of Soul so important right now to what's happening in our world?
Wow. Well, that speaks to essentially like the introduction of the book, right? Which says like in the midst of the classic like bad news as usual headlines, a conscious evolution, a conscious movement is taking place on a global scale. And it's like I meant it, like it's like
Oh.
so this idea that on the surface of things, in the louder noise of the media, there just seems to be all this distress and challenge and bad news, but like the quieter revolution, right? We're talking contemplative revolution. It's
Yeah.
it's by nature silent. Like, that there's this inner silence that's like emerging palpably. That's what I get to witness and be part of in my daily life. And so making what has been, it's almost like a voice for the introverts, like what has been happening already, making it visible, making it audible by publishing this book, by naming something that's been almost like underground in the way that it's been quietly growing and moving, both to rally those and give inspiration to those who have been on the journey, and for some who've been on the journey way longer than I have, but also to give hope for those who are like, something's happening that's like love affirming and life affirming. And yeah, so it feels like, as much as my ego would have loved to have published a book 5 years ago,
Right, right,
when I'm
right.
like, I'd like to write a book and publish, like the sense of the timing it does feel
Hmm.
rather miraculous and like profound. And I'm touched that like, you notice that there is like this, um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. So,
Because I think I love the words you just used. You said love affirming because I think part of the significance you're mentioning is that, I think two things bring people together, love and suffering. And with the world, everything going on, suffering is rolling strong, right? And I think the Enneagram of Soul helps us to know that there's another option.
mm,
Like we can choose love,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
like in a
Yes,
contemplative way. We can.
yes.
And so I just I don't know, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I want to I toss something in about that, because here's the paradox, and almost like everything I experience on the spiritual journey is like paradoxical, that
Mhm,
even as you say that, I'm like, yes. Well, one thing I want to say first is I have found that when people rally around suffering, right? Like I
mhm,
think about also the word complaint. Like there's
mm,
this that there are people we know, like, right, who might come together and they're complaining about the world, like that
right.
kind of energy, right? And that I've always had the sense of complaint. Oh, it gets included in our compassion, but it's the language of the powerless, like,
Mhm.
you know
Right, right,
like it gives a way to vent energy, and somehow
right.
like something's happening when nothing's happening, like that you're not contributing to that, like there's it's power dissipated actually, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And then the paradox I see in the spiritual path, at least as I personally hold it, is that even that, paradoxically, even that gets included. Like love includes that. It doesn't say,
Yes.
da da da, not you. We're here for the positive love and light here. No, we're like, love grows a larger circle. The circle expands to be to hold that. So it doesn't create an othering of, well, now we're the mighty mighty, people who are doing
Yeah,
the contemplative Enneagram work, and you guys, need to
that's
evolve.
right.
But more, it's like the evolution for me, I found I just love more. Like more like like Father Richard Rohr's famous statement, everything belongs.
Hmm.
Like that really has begun to be like a felt experience of my being, where it's like, yeah, that too. And somehow, when we include that too, it transforms,
Yeah.
it integrates. But when
Hmm.
we other it, we keep exiling each other and parts of ourselves, then it's like, here's another divide, here's another wall. And that very unity that we're lamenting we don't have, um, goes further and further away as we make the walls against what we think isn't unity oriented, if that,
Right. Hmm.
yeah, so.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Um, there's a piece that I love that piece where it's a strong all encompassing,
Mm,
and the word love has such a like when you dive into it, it's a greater standpoint than maybe what we typically would see in our normal news and our normal shows. It's greater than that, and it includes a lot of different components, but it allows us to be with other people in the world and ourselves in
Mm,
a way that isn't, like you're saying, constantly creating more divides between us. So
yeah.
okay. Ooh. All right. I got another question. So,
Okay.
can you tell people why you chose 40 days?
Ah, yes. Because as you just heard, I wrote 90 days worth,
Right.
right? And so 40 days for me, from my spiritual background, the number 40 has this allegorical, symbolic, metaphorical significance
Mhm.
of like Jesus, going out
Mhm.
like to the desert for 40 days, 40 nights. This idea that how we translate it in unity is actually as long as it takes. Like that 40 days means is symbolic of a notion of completion. I even think about like the four directions, like in
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the Native American map, and I know in my understanding is even in like uh, with my Muslim friends, like 40 at the age of 40, there's also a demarcation of like a maturation as
Mm.
well. Like, so that's kind of an interesting piece to toss in there. But yeah, so definitely like there's a deliberate piece. And when I say uh symbolically like 40 means like as like completion as long as it takes, I I've always been impressed with the story, whether it's myth, whether it's historical, like of the Buddha as I understand it, it's like going to sit under the Bodhi tree, like the tree, to say, I will not get up until I am enlightened. And that's the notion, as I understand it, of taking the one seat. Like, that's how purposeful this is.
Yeah.
Like, that's the commitment to like this is like I'm fully committed. And so 40 represents that for me. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Love it. So we may have people listening who may not know what contemplative practices or contemplative an Enneagram really means. Can you help maybe describe or explain what contemplative means when we are talking in general and the overlap with the Enneagram?
Yes, that's a great question because I do often use it more generally. What I mean by it for myself and for our community is is that there are what I would call meditative practices and sometimes, admittedly, I will use it more generally to include just really the spectrum of meditative practices, practices that focus inwardly in a way rather than
Mhm.
outwardly. So that's one piece of it. Very specific to the way I personally practice it, there's also an element when I talk about contemplation as being a path of, they call it la via negativa or apophatic, which is
Yeah.
a self-emptying
Hmm.
journey,
Yeah.
like the idea of self-emptying being part of it, right? And again, I say this that that's my emphasis, but I do believe that mindfulness practices, which are not like self-empty, like that
Hmm.
those are important pieces to it too, but the orientation of self-emptying is super important. And in the book, I talk about 9 different practices. And the first practice I offer is centering prayer, which for me is completely that this daily practice of dying before we die, really symbolic of Jesus and other enlightened masters' journeys, not as a literal death, but as a symbolic death. And for me,
Yeah.
it's like dying to the illusion that all I am is my Enneagram type, right?
Yes. Hmm. Hmm.
Every day, at least once
Hmm.
a day, like as often as I can. And so to open to the full circle of the Enneagram rather than being on that point of the circumference, which is like our numbers, right? 3, 7 there,
Yep.
like opening to basically falling into God, falling into the
Hmm.
circle that
Hmm.
into our wholeness, I would say. And so for me, the contemplative path, as I emphasize it, has this sort of, oh, self-surrender. Like, yeah, it's not self-building, it's not self-improvement, right? But it's not self-surrender in the very some was like, I think in some traditional Christian models, it's like sacrifice yourself, like kind of notion of,
Right.
the ego's like, I'm such a good person because I'm self-sacrificing. But it's
Uh-huh.
like your complete identity, who you even think you are, so that wisdom or truth can inform
Hmm.
who or what you really are. That's what contemplation is for me as a practice. Then I'll also say sometimes I talk about Enneagram informed contemplation. And when I say that, I sometimes also mean contemplation itself as a state, like
Hmm.
that I personally probably have only touched once or twice, which is like almost like a state of unity consciousness, you know.
Gotcha.
So that itself, not the contemplative practice, but the arrival of like a unitive state of being. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So,
Ooh, I love that. You start throwing in apophatic and cataphatic. You finna get me over here, shoot.
so
Uh yeah, so when I first learned a little bit about centering prayer and started practicing, I was starting to learn the terminology, and it's very different than how I spiritually grew up, where it was like it was opposite of contemplative. It was opposite, right? It was like not to empty self out, but it was like self. I'm going to say what I need, and then it's all coming from my ego most of the time.
mm,
But to create space and to allow space for myself to be emptied, so that I could be filled with something better, greater, higher, my essence. Ooh.
right.
Um, so I love that. So the Enneagram is so. What can a person picking it up expect to get from it? What can they expect to receive from like reading this beautiful book?
Oh, wow. So there are two parts of me. One answers like, I hope you get something out of it. I don't know what, like just anything. So
Right,
I hope it helps a little bit. There's a part of me that's like,
right.
and another part, like the bigger hope, is that it's evocative. Like
Mm,
someone actually shared one of the best compliments. She was just making an observation about how the book hit her, and it was almost like, I mean, she didn't quite analogize it like to the Bible. She's like almost there, but she was saying something about it's living. It feels like a living book, and it lives in you, and you can open it to any page, and it's almost holographic, like in that way. Like there's something
uh,
about being able to take a gem and have that open you, right? So the paradox is that I believe A Course in Miracles says that this journey home is a journey without distance to a home we never left.
mm,
So you don't have to read the whole book, but if you read with a certain intentionality of like, I'm available to be awakened, and maybe this is just a thing that I was clinging to in my personality structure, just this one thing that
yeah.
budges and it clicks something, and there's an opening, or there's an aha, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's possible. And I really hoped that the book could be opened to any page, not have to be read chronologically or from beginning to end. Um, and I think the other piece to it is I really emphasize how, yes, awakening to wholeness, but that wholeness is not individual.
Mhm.
Wholeness is communal. Like the idea of wholeness being communal. So I think that's the second piece of it. It's like, it's not aha, like, oh, look, I'm in this enlightened state and look at you over there, but something about
Right.
aha, and now I'm more connected, not less, and along with that, there's a huge emphasis in the book on community and the need for community on the journey, as we walk it. Because again, even those of us who might have touched some states of inner peace for a moment or this or that, it's like I know I lie to myself on a daily basis, like so, you know, so
Yeah, I mean,
community and accountability. but also solidarity through community and a sense of like, again, this is my bias, but I happen to believe that I have to believe in oneness. I happen to believe in unity. And so when I talk about like open, if we're opening to truth, we're actually, that truth begins to reveal itself in a felt way in our experience, right? And so it's like, how can it be for me and not for you as well? How could love be here but not there? Like I hope that that's the second piece that people get from it, this idea of, and it's not even wrong, like the American model is almost like very different from the Asian model of like you come of age and your parents kick you out. It's like you should
Right.
be able to be self-sufficient is the idea. And then the teaching of like actually none of us are self-sufficient, none of us are self-made, and
Mm-hmm.
not, nor should we need to be, in the healing power of understanding that this piece of needing people in a kind of interdependent way, right, not like a codependent way,
Right.
that's actually a part of the
Mm-hmm.
reality of life.
Mm-hmm.
know? Yeah, yeah. I'll add Stephen Covey. Oh God, like when I was younger,
Oh
Stephen
yeah.
was the guy.
I know Steve. Yeah, I read some Stephen Covey books.
It can, date us a little bit, but Stephen Covey is like Seven Habits of Highly Successful People. You can bet I was reading that in high school. But the big thing I got from it, and maybe this was like when he became more advanced, maybe he was a three, I don't know, but like he said, in the US in particular, maturation is going from dependency to a sense of independence, right? Like dependent to independent. And we're like, oh yeah, we want to become independent. And he's like, actually, full maturation is interdependence. And he's like, why is it more mature? He said, well, maturity is about recognizing reality. And if the reality is we actually are interdependent, then those who live as if that's true are actually more mature than those who live as if we're independent. Yeah.
Woo!
Yes.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah, right. But and so, but that really touches my type structure because I didn't really
Yeah,
realize to what extent it's like I was just telling someone, it's like,
me
no,
too.
there's a very egoic reason I don't want help. I mean, I'm
Mm.
accepting help now, but the egoic reason is then I can't say I did, look what I did, because I didn't anymore, right? It's not look what I
Right.
did anymore because I don't do anything of my own. It's like that. It's this,
Yeah.
and so this, yeah, interdependency as the ultimate, like as the larger reality that it's not about that not being true, but about, do we think we egoically, as this separate self, do we think we make this happen for ourselves? That for the seven, it's like your planning is what ensures your happy good, like is that
Right.
true, right? Or can you rest and nestle yourself in the nurturing of a universe that is loving? So,
Hmm. It's already got the plan rolled out. I just need to get present and tune myself to it. So no, I feel you on that. My type structure is, very similar in the sense when it comes to self-pres 7. I've been
mhm.
trying to do everything on my own. Like it has been a lot of work for me to relax that and allow people in. And it's funny. Every time I allow people in more on the things that I believe I'm trying to do, those things become great and amazing and they work out well. And like, it's just amazing how it works, right? But having to relax that and understand, no, you're interdependent. Stop trying to do everything, dude. Like, stop. Like,
Yes. Stop.
stop, dude, stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, talking to myself, like, why are you still doing this? You should have been built. So, no,
Mhm.
I fully understand that. Deep into the bones of that one. So, here's a question I think, which I think is an awesome question. I'm just excited to hear your answer. How has this book like transformed, and how is this book working on you as you release this book, this labor of love, I would say, that you've created and you've put in hours, countless energy, put in your essence into it. How has this book transformed or transforming you today?
Wow, great question. Wow. So I'll start by saying that I even though on the outside people might not have seen it, they might have just seen my enthusiasm on the outside. As I broadcast that the book was out, I had this really strong tentative streak inside of me to be
Mhm.
like, but you don't have to read it. Here it is, but like I was like,
Yeah.
because like so I could feel that, and so in that was almost like another level of egoic death,
Mhm.
to release. Okay, a few things. Like when I talk, I can take it back in a conversation. There's, people expect that when you speak, things are maybe not as precise or clear, but when it's solidified in a book,
Right.
it's like, and then someone's reading it, you can't stand over them and defend your make your case and elaborate. And,
Let me tell you what I meant. Let
and
me
it's
tell you what I
like,
meant right there.
I'm trying to, I was like, let me do so that surrender. I
Right.
mean, if you think, and again, I'm only using the three framework to be like now that I'm understanding how this impacts me, how it's like, how do I offset for how I do like to control what you think of me? That
Mm-hmm.
this is a complete surrender of, oh shoot, you're going to be sitting there, you're going to be having your own opinions.
Right.
based, based on the wrong construction of what I said. So I think there's just this deepening that I'm doing of that means I need to trust your spirit. That means I need to
Mm.
trust the wisdom in you to find and know and see and hear what is right for you. That's one piece of it. And for me to not get the approval, kind of like if there's like a wrong or different or
Right.
negative, I think that's the biggest piece, that I can feel that before someone's about to give me feedback, my gut tightens. I felt it
Mm-hmm.
today. Like I felt
Mm-hmm.
like this, okay, brace yourself for this,
Yeah.
and I practice. It's like great to have this somatic felt sense lens of perception. I practice like, you don't need to defend against this. Like open. Because if you can receive it openly,
Mm-hmm.
you're receiving it with love. If
Yeah.
I can receive even negativity with love, that's my work, right? That's what I
Mm-hmm.
want to be in the world. That's how I believe love is my true nature. So that's actually for me, it's like allowing this authenticity of the spirit to not craft and tighten and be all poised and like have myself affected. So I think
Right.
that's really it's like another layer of letting go of that clenching that
Mm.
that is so quick in me to brace. It's actually bracing against criticism, which is part of why I thought it was a one for so long. That I tend to feel like I do that even more than I
Yeah.
go after um, positive feedback. It's almost like okay, I just want to be, don't critique me. And like that's how I've protected myself, and that's how I'm letting myself not be protected. So,
Mm.
yeah. So that's been like the
Ooh.
practice. Yeah.
Ooh. I feel that in my body when you talk about it. Like I do. Like it's I was like, ooh, yeah. Like one, because I'm resonating with you to a degree. Um, but two, because like it's a visceral thing to, like you said, put a body of work out there, and you don't have like you said, you can't stand over them and be like, so on this page, what I meant was, you might want to use this word. This is what you probably use, but I'm using this because you don't have the ability to do that. And I just love how like our journeys, the work that we do, no matter where we go, no matter how what we release, no matter, it's ongoing, and
Yes.
it's a thing we can continuously learn and continuously feel and continuously process and be with. So I just um I just wanted to honor that in you, as in this being a part of your own beautiful part of your journey of like not just releasing a book and writing a book, but the whole process of it, of experiencing like releasing a book and everything that comes with it, and being able to do the inner work. Wow. the book is being put out there, while people have it. And so I just think I just want to honor you in that, because I don't know if people understand this is another form of inner work that's opened up. Um,
Yeah,
so
thank
yeah, I just want to do that. So
you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
yeah, so I do have I have another question, but I want you to share, like, where can people find out more about you and what you do? Because if people don't know, like you, type three, but you do a lot of amazing things, and I love the difference between your Enneagram book and some other Enneagram books where it is focused on the practice of not allowing. I think you said the words. Your type kind of a entrapment. I think what word you use? I don't remember. You used the word, but it was very. I was like, oh yeah, I like the way you use that. But it's a way that we can allow it to trap us, and part of that is making sure your book makes sure that we're not getting lost in those traps, or getting lost in our type and that one fixed point on the diagram, and recognizing that we can fall much further into what is so much more of us, which I love. So can you share a little bit about what you have coming up, where people can meet you? Well, I don't know about meet you. You will be at the conference. Let me say, I just say where they can contact you, not meet you, and what
Well,
else you have coming up.
advertise a global conference happening in it so happens Milton is the chair of this conference. And I will be there this July. What are the dates again?
July 24th through the 27th.
I'll be there in person with my little booth, with my little book.
Yes, get your book signed.
So, so yes, so they could meet me there. But okay, going back, evolvingenneagram.com is my website, and you can find all the things there. I now have a Nhien Vuong like author website, Nhien-Vuong. But that's really just to capture people who might, Google my name. So most of my work is focused in evolving Enneagram. And what we do there is, well, we're in our 8th year now of weekly
Wow.
contemplative practices and the Enneagram groups where we get together, do 20 minutes of silent centering prayer practice. It's not, yeah, it's not for everybody, I can tell you. So, you know.
Yes, but when people get in, like, people don't realize when you can sit at least 20 minutes in a good meditation, it do something to you that.
Yeah. Yes, it changes us, and so, but the group is also Enneagram informed because there are centering prayer groups out there, right? But the whole idea is I see more spiritual bypassing without the Enneagram, right? Like people are like, oh, the nines are like, I'm so holy, I am in my bliss when they are just checked out, right?
Yes, go. Okay, yes, I love what you just said. Yes.
So that's what the Enneagram informed piece is designed to do. So some people might come to my book for like the 9 practices. They're like, yeah, they're contemplatives, but it's like the Enneagram informed piece is the one that says, oh, like if you're a 7 and you're like, okay, and yet I want, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Right.
It's not deepening in a commitment in any way, so like we can understand how our type like impacts that. So, okay, back to evolving Enneagram. So we have these weekly groups. They just launched another 12-week series. Today's April 29th, so I'm not sure when this is coming out, but we have them, we skip the summer and then have them again in the fall. So we continue basically forever. That's kind of the idea that the Enneagram, that transformation isn't a spot fix, but a way of life. Way of
Mhm.
life. And so that's what Evolving Enneagram does. And then the big exciting news I have, well, there are 2 certification trainings happening, but the big thing is for years people have asked me to create a certification training program. And I was like, there are plenty out there. I don't need to make my own certification program, right? It only came to transpire from this kind of sense that, oh, okay, there is a piece, this contemplative piece. It's a contemplative Enneagram practitioner training and certification program. Very specific, not, designed to meet this specific need. I'm not training teachers, I'm training practitioners, often who are already spiritual directors or companions or ministers or therapists who use spirituality, so really speaking to that person. So this training launches mid-September 2025. The first cohort, it'll go for a year with like weekend modules. So you can find out about that on the Evolving Enneagram website. But I'm super excited because I'll mention that I did, after the book was launched, I did a weekend certification program for book journey facilitators.
Mm,
And yeah, so just this idea that the book is meant to be traveled together in community. And I wanted
right.
people to feel empowered to do that. So I did this weekend training, and it was really a teaser in a way. And it went really well. We had, I mean, I was hoping for 5 to 10 people, and we had like 50 something from
Wow.
around the world, and and just the excitement and the energy of this and the sense of this being like a level of launching a contemplative Enneagram global movement, like
Hmm.
that. The thing that I cannot do by myself, the thing that now my focus is more on teaching the teachers, training the
Hmm.
trainers to really go forth and go forth, not like some modalities where some certifications, I mean, there are pros and cons. Some are like, you take this and you teach what we taught you, right? It's a
Right.
mine's like the complete opposite. Just like with my book, I was like, at the end of my thing was like, create your own, contemplative Enneagram book journey based on
Hmm.
the principles I offered. My certification training is going to be just like that. It's interspiritual. It will be for people to like find the way that they can use Enneagram informed contemplation in the way that they're doing their work, not so
Hmm.
they can do what I do necessarily, right? I mean,
Right.
want to, but the idea of like, how do I empower and equip people to go forth and bring this like inner to outer work to more
Yeah.
people in the world from a place that is Enneagram informed?
Yeah.
That's what this training will be for. Yeah.
That is awesome. That will be in the show notes. So people, please click on that and go to it, find out more about Nian's like offerings. Nian, this has been awesome, and your website is dope. I'm slightly jealous, not gonna lie, but your website's awesome, and I am thankful for you coming on the show today. This is very much amazing, and I think your book will help. I had a friend who whose mother and another person's Enneagram teacher, her name's Jenny Campbell. Give a shout out to her real quick. And apparently she said a quote where like the Enneagram needs to be in every town, every city, every needs to be somebody there who can be Enneagram informed and share with people because of things you mentioned like spiritual bypassing and multiple other things. So I feel like your book is helping to accomplish that, right? Because it's a guide that goes with you. So shout out to you. Thank you for that. And is there anything else that you would want to share or leave the audience with before we wrap up this episode?
Gosh, I think I just want to thank you, Milton, for your depth and your presence and your questioning, and just a shout out to Milton for those who are listening. If you can like hear his groundedness, like that's inner work right there. Like those are the fruits of the practice. So I just want to share appreciation for you. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. And for those listening, remember if you feel triggered, something's going on, take a deep breath and do it for the gram, the Enneagram course, and make a better choice. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye, y'all.